It was confusing. I wasn't sure, but yes, I get it now. Yes.
So our producer Andrew is also producer of the Amy and TJ podcast. And so, how long was it? How long went by until you had to remind TJ that you're not black?
So there was a moment, TJ, when you were doing the podcast, and you looked at me at one point and said, "Right, brother?" And I was like, "Oh, no. I don't think he means me as a brother that way, right?"
Robot, tell him. You've known me forever. This is something I always use.
He calls men my brother. He calls all the women my sister. My sister.
Then we stand corrected.
Yeah, it's just a term of endearment. I'd say that to everybody, kid, little boys or whatever. Hey, my brother. It's just a thing I've always done.
Well, I must say, it made me feel good. It made me feel accepted.
Included, right? You're a part of things.
Did it make you feel black for just a second?
It was a blip of black.
Okay, a blip of black.
I know how you say it, right? Because if you deliver it like Hulk Hogan, no black at all.
That's okay. I'm going to use a blip of black.
It's a black blip.
We got to use that.
Yeah, and Hulk Hogan is whiter than me.
Yes.
Than most. Yes,
It's true.
Okay. So why are we here for a race discussion?
Looks like our time is up.
Okay, yes.
Hey, let's bring everyone up to speed. What's going on here now? To start at the beginning for us, anyway. Years ago on Good Morning America, ABC, one of the biggest, arguably the biggest morning shows ever. Back then, when you guys were on, the ratings were at the top. There was a big national story about how you two worked together, and then you were together. Which is not an unusual story.
No.
I mean, I've had sex with half of these people.
Oh, my God. You weren't supposed to tell anybody.
Everyone except Danielle and me.
But which half? As I look around the room.
Anyway, I mean, the true story came out that you were both in marriages that were already on the decline and already done.
Yeah, but we were in the middle of divorces.
Exactly.
Divorce proceedings were going on, yes.
But that was your secret. Then it came out and blew up and blah, blah, blah. And so you left the network. And now here you are now with this podcast with us in our hallways. And it's good to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. We love being in live studios. We do miss the live element. So this is a real treat for us to be on the radio live. That's something that we love our iHeart podcast and our family, but this is fun.
It is fun. Plus, you don't have to get dressed. I mean, even though you're dressed very well. It's just, there's no makeup.
No hair and makeup. None of that.
And me, I have no hair, so I have no hair. And I must say, before we get going, your daughter, Ava, Amy, was one of our favorite interns of all time. If I could, we would have kept her here.
She would have stayed. She would have never left. She talks about you guys all the time. But she brings enthusiasm with her everywhere she goes.
She's amazing. Even though you let her live in a roach-infested apartment.
I allowed her to move into my apartment for a period of time. Yes. I did. And I paid for all the exterminators, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, she forgot to tell us that part. She left that part out of the story.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Really?
How do you think she paid for all of that?
That place was so nasty.
It was so gross.
So nasty.
Well, we love good, nasty apartment stories. Hey, so let's talk about the podcast. We love, and Andrew set this up with us very well. It's an anything goes conversation. A conversation about, of course, you also do the daily news. What's the podcast that's daily news?
Morning Run. That's the fun. That's the one we are really excited and proud of.
Let's talk about that first.
Well, the Morning Run. I mean, people, look, there's so many podcasts out there, but day in, day out, if you're just on a quick commute on a train and you just had a 20-minute ride, you just want to get caught up. And you know what we're getting to do now is to talk and deliver news the way we wish we would have when we were on TV.
What's the difference?
There's such a traditional way of speaking. Yeah. It's not as colloquial as we are able to be on our podcast now.
Sources say the president was determined to, you just have to use these words. Now we're just talking.
Yeah, and this was just yesterday. This is something we would never say on broadcast news. We were talking about Harvard, right, and what's going on with Harvard, and Trump's going after Penn, the University of Pennsylvania now. And we said we're waiting to see if Penn is going to have the same kiss our Ivy League asses approach that Harvard does.
You're not going to see that on ABC.
We would never say that. But we talk. That's delivering the news, the same story. It's just we're able to just have a different type of conversation. We're really proud of the Morning Run.
It is a big difference between, we'll use radio as our example, or podcasting versus network TV. Because every once in a while I used to do fill-in over on NBC, this and that, and I've always felt like we were just choked, and we did not. I actually called someone a D-bag on the Today Show one day.
Oh, damn.
I was on with Kathy Lee Gifford back then. I called someone a D-bag, and then someone came in during the commercial and said, they just came down from upstairs and said you can't use the term D-bag on NBC.
Wow.
Wow.
There are lots of rules.
I know, but do you know how much more fascinating these shows would be if they allowed them just to
Can
be
you
like
say
Exactly.
Can you say penis? Because we can say penis here. It's very exciting.
Well, right now we can say anything, but when we were on the air, I was really actually bowled over because here's the deal. You can say, I don't know if I can say it on the radio.
Well, I don't know.
None of us know.
I don't, bitch. Okay. Bitch. So even you could say slut, you could say bitch, but you couldn't say like GD, or you couldn't say. We couldn't even say Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, we did for a while. We toyed with that too.
We had to say like Bleep Creek or something. But I was like, but I can say someone's a bitch.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
You also
crazy.
couldn't say, was it vagina? You couldn't say?
There were we couldn't say specific female body
I
parts.
think it depends on how you use the word.
If it's a medical term, if you're talking in a medical term,
We
why
still
can't
weren't
you say
allowed.
it?
Seriously,
The
we were
word
not.
bitch is never a medical term.
Ever.
Not that
You know,
one.
No, I'm just saying it's funny that there are so many regulations. Like nobody cares that you use that word, but you can't call a man a D word.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
People get away with saying crappier stuff about women than they do about men.
I call
That
people
was
dicks.
where I was
I
going
call
with
people
that.
dicks all the time.
You do. They couldn't.
They couldn't.
Okay,
Okay.
on there.
You can call a woman a bitch, but you can't call a man a dick.
That's not
There you
good.
go.
Yeah,
Do
that's
you
not good.
Elvis, who was it? Do you remember who you called the D-bag? Who was it?
It was someone in the news. I don't remember.
Don't remember?
who. But they were a D-bag.
He wants to know if it was someone in the newsroom.
But I didn't say douche. I said
Yeah.
D.
He's a D-bag.
I didn't say douchebag. Yeah. So
sorry, okay.
This is So you have here with Amy and TJ a classic example of people who were on network TV for years, who had this great personality, who had interesting, colorful things to say and commentary, but couldn't do it because they were working in the confines of this structure that's set into place by these big companies that own these TV networks.
Yeah. And it's funny because it took us a while. It took me probably a little bit longer to unwind and to not be in that lane because you've done it for so long. I mean, I had 27 years broadcasting. You have a filter that is rock solid at that point. So then to get in front of the mics and be able to tell the news in a fun, informative, but loose way has been really freeing and really exhilarating. It took me a little while, but this guy is one of the smartest and funniest dudes I've ever worked with in my life. So to be able to do it every day with him without the constraints of network news has just been awesome. So it's worth getting up at 3 a.m. every morning.
Oh boy!
Oh, God.
Wow.
It's
Like
not,
us.
No, gravity's evil at that hour. So when you first started doing Amy and TJ the podcast, and you started just talking about real life, whatever, did it take you a while to just go, okay, wait, can we say that? I mean, were you editing yourself a little bit?
Of course, yes, because it's like you're on autopilot. That was your bread and butter to make sure you didn't say the wrong thing. And so it was suddenly, wait, we can kind of say whatever we want and we can actually give an informed opinion, because that was the other thing. You know, when especially the roles that we had in the news, we weren't analysts. We were there to report the facts, ma'am. So we didn't get to say what we thought or bring in experience or anything. So this has been really cool to be able to express opinions.
But also the facts that you were reading and reporting on were facts written by someone who obviously could have a lean one way or another.
Absolutely.
Without doubt.
Absolutely.
But see, the only time I see talking heads on network TV actually being real is if they're doing a sad story. And then every once in a while you'll see a journalist, actually cry.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about something that's just so tragic, the death of kids on a playground or whatever, and they're supposed to just read the teleprompter, what's written for them, and then they stop.
Because your voice starts to crack.
You take a gulp and they cry.
That's so funny you say that. And I was known for crying on the air. I did a segment called Tell TJ that really went out and told these personal stories of people just doing heroic things. They weren't sad stories. They were inspiring stories. But tears always came. But if you don't read and that's okay to be a human being. We're just getting a chance to do that at every breath now.
Well, then we should have just as much license on TV in crying about something. You should also be able to, call someone a stupid a-hole. I don't know. What do you think?
So you guys are free and easy now, and you can insert your opinions. If you ever wanted to go back to network, which I don't know if you do or not, does this make that harder now that people have seen behind the curtain?
I think it makes it better. Because I think now, look, we've also been careful not to give political opinions. I mean, I'm talking about just relying on our experiences, but bringing in some personal information. But I think we felt so free. You said this the other day. It would be fun to go back onto Network News Now and be the version of ourselves, the version of the journalists we've now become. And I think, it's an enhanced version.
Well, then someone needs to be smart enough to let you do that.
Well, we haven't asked to. That sounds crazy. We have not, in 2 years now, had any representative of ours make any inquiry to any news network for a job for us. We haven't asked. We have no interest at this point. Don't get me wrong, if the right thing came along, maybe. But we have gotten into this lane, this zone. We cannot believe how happy we are and how much we are enjoying what we're doing, to where we're forgetting about that other life and that other thing we used to do.
Okay, well, see, what you're talking about, TJ, is very important. Because someone out right now is in the car driving to work, and they're on that way to the office where they're making sausage every day, the same thing every day, wishing they had this life in the rearview mirror, and they're doing something that's more exciting. It may not pay the same, or it may not be the same.
It doesn't.
But after this segment,
oh no. Okay, so another thing. It's interesting about talking about podcasting with Amy and TJ. You don't really start off in a fast lane in podcasting unless you're just like a handful of people who are making tens of millions of dollars or hundreds. It doesn't pay for a couple of years. So that's why we talked to Andrew. So Andrew's in charge of podcasting around here. How come it's such a piss poor industry?
I think it's because there's 47 million bajillion podcasts, so it's hard to fight and to find your lane. So then you really have to kind of figure out what you could be the best of in a small category. Like Scotty and I, we are the best food podcasters, asterisk, of cereal, asterisk, with two guys doing it. So that means we're number one in that lane. And that's what you got to do.
Is it an asterisk or an asterisk?
Asterisk.
Just asking.
Isk?
Isk. Okay, just making.
Okay, yeah.
See, I just totally took us off the train.
Did we mention he's our best producer?
So out of everyone in this room, Andrew, you know Amy and TJ better than anyone else. What is it we're not talking about that you know that they would love to go off on?
Oh, wow.
I feel like you guys talking about maybe your
drug use.
No. Okay. I did hear about the edible before the Botox.
Okay,
I did bring that up. I'm sorry, Amy.
By the way, Amy, it's been a while since I've had Botox, as you can tell. But one time I was on a major effer edible. I had to think about that. And I went in to get my Botox.
Oh, big mistake.
The thing is, when you get Botox, you can hear the liquid entering your skull.
It crackles.
And I was like, this should be freaking me out, and it didn't. But I heard you freaked out.
Well, because if you've ever been on an edible, it's great because it makes you have an enhanced, I feel like all your nerve endings are firing up. It really gives you an enhanced experience. I didn't realize before I went into Botox that was going to be enhanced pain, because all of a sudden, everything I felt like fire. It was so much more painful, and I thought, never again.
I was just kind of freaking out, not because of pain, but just because of the sound in my skull.
After that story, Elvis, you're definitely not black. Definitely.
Okay.
There's no...
I can show you several reasons why I'm definitely not black.
not even a blip after the Botox story.
Okay, give me more examples.
I think meeting each other's families, that was a super interesting story.
Well, okay.
See, I have known her parents for the longest. We were best friends for years and years before we ever started dating. So I hung out with her parents and we're cool. And so it was bizarre to then hang out with them again for the first time as her boyfriend. Now, things weren't necessarily awkward because I'm comfortable and know them well, but there was a lot of adjustment in our life because we naturally transitioned into a relationship. We have a solid foundation of a friendship. I recommend that to anybody listening. There's probably, if you're looking for somebody to date, there's somebody in your life probably right now who is the person for you. And that, we never would have thought about that, but our foundation of friendship was so good that some of that transition was easy, even if awkward. It was just a brand new thing. People were used to seeing us in a certain way.
That's true. And I think even for our kids, because my daughters babysat TJ's daughter since she was 1. So they all knew each other. So then to suddenly transition into another role, it took a little bit of massaging and everyone kind of getting used to it.
This is either a Hallmark movie or this is a movie. This is a screenplay.
Well, we all spent Christmas together. Like, we all had a blast. And it was fun because there was this base of knowing one another and liking one another. And so we had a blast at Christmas.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. You were good friends, I guess, reportedly for at least 10 years before you were romantically involved.
It was 8 years, right?
Yeah.
8 years,
okay, that's
right.
still long,
long
time. But you were good friends, and TJ was talking about how you had this foundation of friendship, and then it turned into something more. Why is it we fall in love with people and have relationships with people in a romantic way, in a serious way, and then when it's over, we never speak to them again? It makes me feel like, well, were we ever really friends? I would never treat a friend like that, but why this friend? Well, do you understand the dynamic I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Do you know?
I think a huge part of it comes from, were you friends before or were you not?
There it is.
I remember having a conversation with my ex-boyfriend where I said, I still want to be friends. He said, why would we be friends? We weren't friends before. And I was like, okay.
And that's why we're breaking up.
Yeah.
Right now.
I don't want to date my friend and I want to be friends after, but okay.
But what I said to her before we made the decision
So
to date,
true.
I said, if this is going to sacrifice our friendship, I have no interest in dating because I can't lose you as a friend. Flat out.
Did you mean it, though?
100% mean it. She has meant so much to me in my life as a friend and helping me through some of the most difficult ish I've ever gone through. She was that meaningful to me. I have to have her in my life. If it's going to be this or it's going to be that, but I cannot lose you as a friend. So it started there.
That's so nice.
That really was. That was D-Day for us.
Without a doubt. And I look back at all my other relationships, and to your point, I was never friends with anybody I dated beforehand, and I don't speak to anyone who I, dated before. We didn't stay friends because there was no friendship.
Wow. It talks to me about how shallow I was as a friend with these guys I don't talk to anymore, who I was with for like 10 years. So Danielle, you and Sheldon.
Yeah.
Because I was supposed to date Sheldon, and he didn't
yes,
want me, so
yes.
I gave him to her.
He wasn't gay, so he passed him over.
I know, but you were very friendly with each other.
Well, we were, but we didn't know each other really before we started dating. But we were hanging out a little bit, I guess, in the friend zone before we dated a little bit, I guess, but not really. I mean, but we were.
But see, now you
I think it's different. It's not. We didn't grow up together, and we didn't have
Right.
families together. And
But listen, these guys did. But, it's interesting how, I don't know, you people have been married for 30, 50 years, and they never, ever were friends and never will be friends.
They don't like each other.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
What kind of life choice is that?
we watch people all the time. We love people watching. And if you watch married couples on vacation interact, it's pretty obvious that I would say a vast majority of them are not friends.
And for instance, what do you see that makes you come to that conclusion?
Because they pull out their books, turn their body languages away from each other. Usually the woman or the man is in front of the husband. They don't
They're
walk
walking,
together.
yes.
Like, it's really interesting.
Phones are out.
Phones are out the
There's
whole
a
time.
beautiful look. If you're sitting, there's a beautiful beach here, and you're sitting with your best friend or the
Yeah.
person you love. That's the dream.
Yep.
If you're not enjoying that moment, you need to ask yourself some questions about your relationship in that moment. How can you be? This is it, and you're not enjoying that. And
I used to always bring books on vacation with me to
Oh,
read.
yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing, right? He looked at me. He said, "Are you actually going to bring a book?" I think it's the first time we went on a vacation together. And I said, "Yeah, I mean, this is what I do." And he said, "Good luck." And I never picked the book up because we just
That's so
had
awesome.
so much fun together.
Yeah.
So I'm wrong in saying sometimes it's a sign of a great relationship when you can just be in silence together?
Yeah.
Of course.
we can be, like we sit on the couch, we cook,
Sit on the
we
couch.
do all kinds of
you
things.
sit on the couch. Oh
We
my
can
God, that
sit-
sounds like so much fun.
We sit on the couch. And be quiet sometimes. But no, we are always interacting. I really don't know a lot of times that we are together and there's just not constant engagement.
Unless you're mad at me.
Yeah, there's an issue.
Wait, do you do what I do with Sheldon? Like, we chase each other around still and grab each other's body parts.
When you're fighting?
Oh no, when we're not fighting. And my kids are always like, seriously.
That is so
Seriously?
sweet, though.
You chase each other
Yeah.
around and grab each other's body parts?
You were grabbing my
Shove them.
body part on the
Like, let me
subway.
show
didn't
you.
you?
Come here.
So, grab TJ's body part.
Are you literally?
No, like say
She'll do it.
I'm cooking in the kitchen, right?
Okay.
My husband will come over there and he'll like grab my boob a little and be like,
Oh, okay.
"Meh, meh," you know, and then, like, on top of my clothes. knows.
Did you just touch TJ's boob?
I did. But we start laughing about it. And the fact that after being married, I mean, we've been together a very long time. After being married and having kids and being able to still do that.
That's sweet.
I think it's
deal.
great. But the kids don't think so. They're like, Ma, seriously? I mean, come on.
I actually watched my parents do that.
Yeah.
And I would say, Mom, you guys are grossing me out. I don't want to bring my friends over because it's
Right.
embarrassing
Oh,
seeing
God.
the two of you.
You don't want your parents fingering each other in front of you? Yes, Gandhi.
No, I think the key to all of it is long distance. You just stay away from each other. You have a healthy relationship because you never fight.
Because you're in a
together.
long-distance relationship.
Yeah, I am.
And it's working.
Yeah.
How much distance we talking?
He lives in Michigan,
Okay.
and I live here.
You see each other how often?
A couple times a month. At this point,
That's
sometimes
good enough?
longer.
Are they set or are they random? Do you just figure something out, or
We
you
just
have this
figure it
weekend,
out.
this
no,
weekend?
No. We just figure it out.
How long are your times together to you when you see each other? A few days, a week?
Sometimes a few days, sometimes a week, sometimes a couple weeks. It just depends.
How long
on
y'all
the
been together?
Situation. Almost 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we've
Okay.
been together for a while.
Are any plan to actually live in the same city? Wow, I am
No.
so sorry. I was asking.
I'm curious as well.
Yeah.
This is Ask TJ segment.
No, we really don't because he has a life that keeps him in Michigan and my life keeps me here, and there's not a way to merge those at the moment. So we're just giving each other space and having fun.
There you go.
A partners. You heard of that? There's a new thing called
Yeah.
A partners.
Like being
People-
apart.
A partner.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's a
think I
new
love
trend
that.
now. People do
See?
that.
I'm only with my husband 3 nights a week. That's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It's awesome.
Nice.
I'll explain later. So if you're just turning us on, it's Amy and TJ, their podcast right here on iHeartRadio. The texts are coming through. I love Amy and TJ. Didn't even know they had a podcast. I'm going to listen.
Wow.
I agree with TJ about being best friends with the person you're with. People are commenting about everything you're talking about. This is why your podcast is so interesting.
But we're
'Cause you
able
talk
to-
about things that people want to talk about.
But we're able to do that here, and we appreciate the opportunity doing it here. Look, we have been next door. We actually do our podcast in the studio right next door to where we are, and we've been doing it for a little over a year. But this is the first invitation we've gotten to this show. I'm not complaining. I'm saying it's the best sign that maybe we're finally doing something
There you
right.
go.
That we've been invited here. So thank you.
Well, start off by getting a better studio. That studio is crap.
Wow. Podcasting doesn't pay, man. We're working on it.
I mean, do you remember the day I burst through your door when you were doing your podcast?
Yes. That was
Guys,
amazing.
I didn't see you guys sitting there, but I saw Andrew in there. I'm like, I gotta go yell at him about something. I just opened the door, and you guys are in there talking. I'm like, sorry about that. I never apologize. Look, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for
Thank
having
you
us.
guys. Thank
I
you guys.
apologize for touching your boob.
No, you're
TJ.
fine. My girlfriend's here, so it's all good.
Okay.
It's all good.
You should see her when she starts biting guests' crotch.
It's weird. That's a
So
different podcast
it's a strange,
altogether.
it's an odd
Next segment.
thing. It's very uncomfortable when she does that. Hey, it's Amy and TJ, the podcast, of course, wherever you get your podcast. We hope you get it on iHeartRadio. Thank you guys so much for being here. And I love how you are very meaningful in the things you talk about. And you you both kind of just hitch on to any conversation that you find interesting because you know you're passionate about it. Another reason why we think your podcast is fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank
for that, man.
you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank
There it
you.
is, Amy and TJ.
Thank you, guys.
I'm sorry, was that funny?
Elvis Duran in the Morning Show.